What is up, my friend? Welcome to episode number 51, all about journaling for mental health and self-improvement. If you want to know how to start journaling and changing your life immediately, this episode is going to rock your world. So if you think journaling is like only for teenage girls or something and it has no place in the personal development or business development space, then I'd highly recommend you stick around because what I have to share in this episode may change your mind. So if you're ready for one of the tools that help some of my clients have some of their biggest breakthroughs of their lives, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Anthony John Amix Podcast, the one and only podcast designed to help you become unstoppable in life and business. My name is Anthony John Amix. My friends call me AJ, and my goal with this podcast is to help you remember who you truly are, so you can maintain your center in the chaos, embody your potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. That being said, let's get into today's show. All right, welcome back. If you're listening to this on your commute or maybe at your desk or working out or something like that, I love it. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. Yeah, there's a lot of other times during the day when you could be learning more about how to truly take your life and business to the next level. So check this out. I created a book that dives deep into the ancient secrets that allow entrepreneurs to sustainably scale their business, lead their teams, and find fulfillment. I talk about some of the universal truths that many are attempting to fight against. And it's kind of like you're trying to run up a mountain with parachutes tied to your back. Now, while you can make it to the top, there's a lot of unnecessary resistance holding you back. And in the book, I reveal many of the subconscious things that are really creating a lot of resistance and a lot of friction for entrepreneurs. Now, many experts have struggled to put language to this stuff, yet I believe I've actually nailed it. And the best part is you can grab the entire book for free over at AJAmix. It's AJAMYX.com/book. So go check that out because I think you'll enjoy reading it. And I have some really big insights in how to unlock an entirely new level of freedom, purpose, and success in your own life. Again, that URL is AJAmix.com/book. Now, let's get into journaling for mental health and self-improvement, shall we? Now, I've been journaling for years now. I have actually developed a practice that I like to call daily dialogue, and I'll teach you how to do that today. Now, before I tell you how to implement the journaling practice that I use and that I teach my clients to use, I really want to let you know, scientific studies have actually shown journaling to be a solution to a lot of the difficulties of modern day life. And according to an article in the New York Times, journaling is actually proven to boost mindfulness, memory, and communication skills. And studies have also found that writing in a journal can actually lead to better sleep, a stronger immune system, and more self-confidence. And get this, a higher IQ. Pretty crazy, right? Now, I was first inspired to start journaling after reading a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I don't know, maybe 8 years or so, something like that. And in that book, she talks about a practice called morning pages, where each and every day you write 3 pages in your journal. There's no rhyme, there's no reason for writing. You just write whatever comes to your mind. It's just a simple stream of consciousness type of writing. And I remember when I first started, I was really inspired, and so I'd sit down to complete 3 pages in my journal, and I had no clue what to write. And I didn't want to be Dear Journal, I'm a whiny victim. Here are all of my problems. That just didn't feel right to me. I was like, that's stupid. So I just kind of chose to align with the truth. And the first thought that I had in my mind was, this is stupid. So that's exactly what I wrote down. This is stupid. And the next thought that came to my mind was this is stupid. So I wrote that down. And then it was I don't know what to write. So I just kept writing just whatever came to mind. This is stupid. This is stupid. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. Why am I doing this? And I just kept writing whatever was coming to me. Just whatever was coming into mind, I just wrote it down. And I remember when I completed about half a page, or maybe it was 2/3 of a page or something of just nonsense, something within me seemed to start to shift. It was things just started coming out of my pen and onto the paper. And for me, it was this experience of tapping into the stored wisdom that was just dwelling within me. And I just kept going with it, kept going with it, kept going with it. And over weeks and days and weeks and months, I found man, there's this massive benefit to just writing down this knowledge that's just kind of coming out of my pen. And I found it seemed to create some space within my mind, some space within my heart. And it just kind of seemed I don't know, I felt better after doing it. And after doing that for a while, for several years, later on, I read a book called Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsh. And it was a great book, one that really touched my heart and it really moved me. And I remember thinking to myself, if Neil can talk to God through writing, then so can I. Now, I don't know why, but that's just kind of how I seem to be wired. And it's almost what got me into this entrepreneurial thing to begin with, because back then, 2000, I don't remember if it was 8 or 9, maybe it's before that, I was reading a book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek. And after reading that book, I was like, well, if Tim Ferriss can create a business where he can work for me in the world, so can I. Thank you, 4-Hour Workweek. Thank you for the inspiration, Tim. Kind of paid off for me. Thank you. Appreciate that. And so here I was later reading this book about Neil having conversations with God. And I was like, well, if Neil can talk with God, so can I. So I started approaching my journaling with that mindset. And when I started journaling, I started to open myself up to ask God questions, like in this stream of consciousness writing style that I'd been practicing for a few years at the time through the teachings of Julia Cameron. And lo and behold, like my journaling session became like a Q&A thing with me, and something like way beyond me. It was like a way where I could just ask a question, and without judging or without thinking or without doing anything, just whatever thought or feeling just like came over me, I would just write it down. And in doing this, I started to see I had access to a wisdom, to an intelligence that was way greater than me. You know, growing up, I remember in the church, and they talked about the book of John or the book of Matthew, or how Paul wrote the book of Acts or whatever, right? And so when I started journaling in this conversational way, I started to realize, like, wait. Those dudes in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Paul, all these other guys, what if those books are nothing more than their journal pages? Like, what if they're doing nothing more than just writing down how they felt, like asking questions and just simply writing down like the answers that they're getting? And if that's the case, like, then who's to say that I'm not writing the book of Anthony John Amick right now? Like, I mean, this is my gospel. This is my written relationship with God, consciousness, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it. And in this way of writing, I found I could access insights into marketing strategies for my business. I could access communication strategies to help my marriage. I could access ideas and strategies to help my clients. And I also found that I could bring healing to the parts of myself that were required, like, to be healed. So I just started calling this process daily dialogue, because for me, it was exactly that, a daily dialogue with the divine. And I was so blown away by the results that I had achieved in my own life from this process that I started teaching my clients, and they started to experience similar results. Now, if all of this sounds like super spiritual and ethereal, well, I have some good news for you, because there's actually some science that is actually backing up some of these crazy findings. According to PsychCentral.com, the act of writing accesses your left brain, which is analytical and rational. And while your left brain is like occupied in the act of writing, your right brain is then free to create and intuit and feel. So the process of writing by hand actually removes mental blocks and allows you to use all of your brain power to better understand yourself and others and the world around you. Like, I've had clients who used to think that typing out on their computer, this journaling process, like, that was a lot more efficient. And I was always like, guys, you got to trust me on this one. There's something magical about the bond between physically writing in a journal with your pen and the hand movement. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but just like, trust me on this. And back then I didn't have the science to back up my experience. I just knew that there was something to the whole writing thing. And lo and behold, I was right. Science has actually proven that. Now, the other thing that daily dialogue does is it creates space, and it increases your capacity to create and to do things. So let me explain. One of my coaches, Jeremy Eugene Wilson, he once told me that simply expressing an emotion releases 80% of an emotion. And it's a lot easier to deal with 20% of an intense emotional state than 100% of it, right? So the act of writing down what you're feeling, like what you're experiencing, is a great way to purge the pain of what you're experiencing internally in a safe and healthy way. That way you have more space to then find ways to handle what you're experiencing and be open to new possibilities. And this, my friend, serves as a beautiful way to help you reduce stress and solve problems more effectively. And I'll tell you, the daily dialogue thing is so simple to do, yet it's also very simple not to do. And your mind, your ego will attempt to persuade you, and I will say very convincingly, that you don't have time for journaling. And I'm here to tell you, don't listen to your mind, because it's going to do everything in its power to keep you playing small. So just choose right now, don't listen. Instead, take the 15 minutes or so a day to have a daily dialogue session. And by doing so, you're going to clarify your thoughts and feelings. You're going to start knowing yourself better every single day. Like, you're going to start knowing what creates happiness for you. And also becoming extremely clear about like what people and what situations are things that like it's time to avoid at all costs. You're going to reduce stress because writing out about your anger or your sadness or your fear or whatever it is, like whatever disempowering stuff that you're experiencing, that's going to be purged from your system. And as a result, you're going to feel more calm and more present. You're going to find solutions to problems because writing is unlocking more and more of your capabilities within your brain and your thinking and your problem solving abilities. And you're also going to start resolving disagreements with others. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Like, I don't know how many times I have completely taken the time to just stew things over in my mind, like trying to find a solution. And the moment that I just like, all right, I'm just going to journal this out, right? And I take that misunderstanding into daily dialogue, boom, I find a new point of view that unlocks a whole new way to resolve the conflict, and then I can go execute it and boom, solve it. In John chapter 10, verses 27 and 28, it says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand." See, I believe that we're the sheep, and we have the capacity to hear that voice. Now, for some, that voice may be a voice, like they hear it. Or others, for other people, it may be a feeling. That's what it is for me. It's a feeling. And journaling gives you access to that voice. And the more that I do daily dialogue, the more it's training me to hear, to listen, and to heed the instruction and direction of that voice. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 24, it says, "Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock." I'm here to tell you, my friend, daily dialogue is one of the greatest paths I've found thus far to become a wise man and set your actions upon a rock, upon a strong foundation. Like, it is so, so good. Like, my life and my business has been and is transformed through this process, and so are the lives of my clients. And so now maybe you're thinking like, okay, cool, I'm willing to give this whole daily dialogue thing a try. Like, how do I do it? It's a great question. It's actually really, really simple. You just grab a journal or a notebook and you write 3 pages minimum. Like, that's it. Now, I suggest getting a journal that's about an A5 size, which is, I think, like a 8 inches by 5 inches, 8 inches tall by 5.5 inches wide or something like that. And if you have like a typical, big 5.5 by 11 or whatever notebook, then I probably just write like 2 pages minimum, since, they're bigger pages than an A5. And so when you get started, I just want to encourage you, just take what you get. Like, I'm not asking you to set an expectation that you're going to have some life-altering experience where you talk with God. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen for you. It may happen. It may not happen. Just whatever you experience is perfectly right for you. What I am saying is try it out for 7 days. Like, for 7 days, just commit to writing out. Like, just complete 3 pages in your journal and just take what you get. Like, whatever thought comes in, write it down. Like, don't judge it. Don't try to make sense of it. Don't worry about spelling it right or punctuation or grammar. Like, just write down whatever you want to write out, whatever thoughts, whatever feelings. Just take what you get and let it take you where it's going to take you. Now, if you have a question about something, I would encourage you to ask it. And whatever the next thought or feeling you have is, just write it down. And again, just take what you get. I can't stress that enough. I'm simply inviting you into a possibility to just try it out for 7 days and see if you find value in it. A lot of people have found a lot of value in this process. And I've also found that if you will get centered before you start the process, it actually helps tremendously as well. Meaning, if you'll just take a few deep breaths to get centered and grounded, to get out of your head and into your body before you start writing, it really helps you to really settle in and connect. And a lot of beautiful things start flowing out as well from there. Another way to settle in before you get started is to do a 3 or a 10-minute meditation. It's a really great way to start the process. You could use something like Insight Timer or anything like that to find a guided meditation to guide you, or YouTube. I love Insight Timer personally. And the one last principle that I'll share with you that you're going to want to follow to make this practice extremely effective and powerful is to understand the quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. I learned this concept from Tony Robbins back in the day, and I found it to be very, very true. So let me explain. If you ask empowering questions, you'll get empowering answers. On the flip side of that, if you ask disempowering questions, I guarantee you, you're going to get disempowering answers. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, Jesus says, "Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened to you." So you better be careful what you're asking for and for what doors you're knocking on, because you may open one of those doors up and be like, fuck, man, I didn't want that thing. So let me give you an example. If you're asking, like, why is life so hard for you? Then your mind is going to bring you all of these reasons why life is hard for you. Yet if you'll get into this place of curiosity and wonderment and start asking a different question like, well, how could I make life easier on myself? How would it be possible for life to be easier? Like getting into that place of curiosity, I guarantee you're going to find a lot more potential ways to create an easier path for yourself. Ask and you shall receive. A universal principle. Now, if you'll take what I'm sharing with you here today, I know you're going to find clarity, you're going to reduce your stress, and you're going to find solutions to the things that will just completely blow your mind. So my invitation to you this day is this. What may be possible for you if you could ask God any question and be given the answers to those questions? Like, would you follow that divine guidance? And if so, how may following divine guidance every day transform your life and your business for the better? So my friend, that's going to do it for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this episode and inspired you in some way, I would love to hear about it. And I'd really like to know, what is one of the biggest takeaways from this episode? Just simply take a screenshot of you listening to this episode on your device, then just post it to your Instagram stories and just tag me at AJ Amix. That's my handle on Instagram. That way, I can see and I can hear, and I'm like, man, this is how what your biggest takeaway is, and we could connect and have a conversation about it and be fantastic. So I look forward to seeing your post on Instagram stories. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, my friend, I'm out. Peace.
Well, that's all I've got for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast, but we have plenty more to help you become unstoppable in life and business. So head on over to ajamix.com for exclusive resources, information, and tools to help you break through to a new level of freedom, purpose, and success. I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Bye for now.